Conor Benn has been spotted putting in serious work alongside heavyweight contender Daniel Dubois ahead of his rematch with Chris Eubank Jr., and the footage alone has fans buzzing. The partnership with Dubois has added extra intensity to Benn's preparation, with many believing the power and pace he's gaining could make all the difference when he steps into the ring again. This isn't just another training camp for Benn, it feels like a statement. The energy, focus, and sharpness coming out of his camp suggest a fighter determined not to repeat old mistakes. Former world champion Tim Bradley has been keeping a close eye on Benn's progress, and he believes there is a real path for the young Brit to shock everyone this time. Bradley thinks Benn has the tools to stop Eubank Jr. if he keeps his emotions under control. In their first encounter, Benn's aggression got the better of him. He fought like he had something to prove and paid for it, and now with a calmer mindset and more disciplined tactics, Bradley sees Benn's raw power as a real threat, one that could end the fight early if he channels it smartly instead of recklessly.
Yeah, I know that rematch is coming up soon, and Chris Eubank Jr. Yeah, shoot, look, Conor Benn can knock him out. Conor Benn can knock him out in the rematch. Oh yeah, couple things he gotta do though. You know, boxing one-on-one, man, when you're fighting a taller guy, you never want to step back in straight lines. You want to exit the sides. He stepped back in straight lines. He allowed Eubank to extend with those long arms, so he's getting caught on the end of his shots a lot of the times. Another thing, early on, got too reckless. You got to be more reserved, my man. Act like you've been there before. You got to control those emotions, all right? A lot of swinging, a lot of wild swinging, a lot of energy wasted early that you could have had on the back end, and you could have finished stronger. But you didn't. You wasted a lot of energy swinging that air. Mad, intense. Hey, controlled aggression. That's what it gotta be, Conor Benn. Controlled.
That same confidence is echoed by Hamza Shiraz, who sees Benn finishing the job inside 6 rounds. For Shiraz, the key isn't just Benn's form, but also Eubank's struggle with the scales. Making weight has never been easy for Eubank Jr., and doing so at this stage of his career could leave him drained. Shiraz believes that by the mid-rounds, Benn's energy and pressure could start breaking him down.
What's your prediction, Benn or Eubank?
I've got Conor Benn to win inside 6 rounds. I feel like the weight will affect Eubank too much on how it affected him before as well. And it was a hard fight. It wasn't an easy fight. Yeah, Conor Benn to win inside.
Eddie Hearn can hardly contain his excitement. He knows how much this rivalry means to British boxing. The first fight had everything: emotion, tension, and the kind of drama that makes a night unforgettable. Hearn says the challenge now is to recreate that same electricity without pushing either fighter too far. Both men have gone all in during camp, but Hearn insists that priority this time is balance. He's especially cautious about Benn's longtime career. At 28, Benn still has years ahead of him, and Hearn doesn't want one night to cost him the future. He's making sure everything from recovery to sparring intensity is measured carefully.
You know, there were times when, I don't know, not I think Eubank would retire, but the first fight was incredibly physically taxing on both men. You know, both men ended up eventually that night in hospital, and Eubank was there for several days. And there was definitely a feeling of, are they going to want to run it back? I mean, the money's obviously huge, but do you want to go to those places again? And, you know, I have to give, you know, despite our differences, I have to give Junior respect, because he went to some deep places that night. Both of them did. And they're choosing to run it back and go to the same places where they will definitely be going in this fight. So, you know, the first fight date, which was September 20th, didn't get off the ground because, you know, Eubank physically said he wasn't ready for that fight. So we're here now, November 15th, back at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and back for another thriller.
From Eubank's camp, longtime team member Ronnie Davies has hinted that things weren't exactly smooth before the first night. Without spilling too many details, Davies suggested that some behind-the-scenes issues threw Eubank off his rhythm back then. This time though, he says everything feels different. The camp is more organized, the focus sharper, and every detail, from diet to conditioning, is being handled professionally. Davies believes this new structure will show in the ring. In his view, Eubank is stepping in better prepared, physically and mentally, than ever before. He respects Benn's determination, but sees Eubank's composure and experience as the ultimate difference maker. The qualities that will keep him in control from start to finish.
This time, what I know, there's a few issues last time, which I can't talk about, is he? But this time, Z, when we talked to Z before, sorry mate, this time he'll do it right, and you'll see a different Eubank, and I think he'll make an easier job. But then again, you don't know with Ben. He's a very determined young kid, very fit, very powerful, and he's young. And he'll fight his heart out. So,
But the British boxing scene is split right down the middle when it comes to predicting who wins. Liam Smith, who's been in the ring with Eubank Jr. himself, sees things leaning slightly toward Ben. Smith feels Eubank might have already shown the best version of himself in their previous meeting, while Ben still has room to evolve. Having shared 12 grueling rounds, Ben now understands Eubank's timing, habits, and rhythm. Smith thinks that kind of insight can be a huge weapon in a rematch. When you've already experienced an opponent's best shots and found a way to survive, it changes how you approach the next fight.
Big rematch, Ben and your old foe, Eubank Jr. How did you see that one playing out?
You know what, watching the first fight was a great fight, better fight than I expected.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought, I think Eubank's one fight away from being done. I thought his balance was shot to bits. I've seen him sparring and knee pads on and stuff. But I just thought, wow, you're one fight away from being done. I think the rematch is a good fight, probably a better fight than I first predicted, if that makes sense. And I think Conor's got even more of a chance in the rematch.
Carl Frog, who knows both men personally, took a balanced stance. He still gives Eubank the edge because of his natural size and strength, but he refuses to count Ben out. Frog admires Ben for daring to move up 2 weight divisions and still giving Eubank a competitive fight. He believes that if Ben tightens his timing and sharpens his combinations, he can bridge the physical gap. Frog has seen how much Ben's discipline and fundamentals have improved, and he suspects this version of Ben might surprise a few people.
Conor Benn might be able to turn it around and change it. He might be able to box a bit calmly behind the jab, take his time a little bit more, and then maybe pick his shots a bit better and not rush things and walk into things, because he did hurt Eubank in round 3 in the first fight. Can he capitalise on that by being a bit cuter behind the jab and trying looking for a smart shot rather than trying to look for a wild shot by just forcing the pace and pressure against Eubank Jr. doesn't work. I know from sparring him, you put him under the cosh and he fires back. He fights fire with fire. He always has done, and he was able to finish stronger, which was, plaudits to him. I was shocked by the fact that he could finish strong because he took this weight off and there was a rehydration clause. I believe he's doing the same weight, 160 pounds. That's what's agreed, and I also believe there's a rehydration clause as well, so he won't be able to go over. Is it 9 or 10 pounds the next day, which is going to be difficult. But he signed a contract, he's getting paid well, it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see what happens November 15th. Like I said, not much to report. They've kind of been there, seen it, done it. We know who's won. I'd say Eubank Jr. is still the favourite going into this one, as he was in the first one, but he's a bit older, a bit more worn out from that first fight, and he's still got to make weight, still got to do the rehydration clause, so things could change. But yeah, me for one, I'm looking forward to see these two go at it again. I'm going to go there and sit and watch it live this time instead of watching it on TV, which is always good.
Peter Fury, ever the strategist, looked at the matchup from a mental and tactical angle. He sees it as a psychological chess match. Ben's biggest weapon, his relentless aggression, is also his biggest risk. When he fights with too much emotion, he leaves himself open to counters, something a seasoned fighter like Eubank can exploit. But if Ben keeps a cool head, moves smartly, and dictates the distance, Fury believes he can make the fight frustrating for Eubank. It's all about balance, using aggression intelligently rather than emotionally.
No, I don't know. I think Ben can do more, and he's going to learn from it. The first one. So, and Eubank looked drained at that weight. I'm surprised he's gone in again for the same weight, same rules, because you could see he looked like he was struggling to get to that weight, and it showed in there at times. So I think it's a 50-50. Ben's in with a better chance this time than the first time.
Ben said he's going to box more in the second fight. Is that the game plan you would deploy, or? Yeah,
you've got to box. Look, it's called boxing for a reason. You've got to box. When you're looking for big shots and take somebody's head off, somebody will pick you apart. This is skill set in there. At this level.
George Groves, who's faced Eubank in the past, shared his own insight. He called the first fight a spectacle that had the kind of cinematic tension you rarely see in modern boxing, full of family legacy and pride. But for him, this rematch is more about Benn's growth than anything else. Groves believes Eubank is at a turning point in his career. The opportunities for massive paydays like a showdown with Canelo Alvarez or a world title shot are becoming rarer. That makes the fight critical. A loss here could close several doors, and Groves thinks that pressure could either bring out the best in Eubank or weigh him down.
One different caveat, if you like, to this is Bomac is back.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
That is interesting. Now, he gave credit to Jonathan Banks for last time, but Bomac is different. He is different.
Different gravy.
I mean, the best we ever seen Chris Eubank Jr., in my opinion, was the Liam Smith rematch.
Yeah.
Bomac training him. Did you hear what Bomac said? This would send shivers down my spine when he goes, "Oh yeah, I had a look at that fight. Oh, there's a lot I can work with." You're like, if you're Conor Benn, you're thinking, sitting there going, "Oh shit."
Yeah. I would love Chris to put the ego away and get to America and let Bomac train you over there.
Oh, that'd be the...
You want to be in that gym. You want to be surrounding those little killers and sparring those guys, right? You want to be sparring those smaller guys who are like as fast as Conor and nippy as Conor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and they will. And he'd probably, listen...
He'll get lit up by some of them. He'll get lit up by some of them.
But believe me, it's going to pay you dividends.
Meanwhile, Dave Ellen, who's been following Benn's comeback closely, sees the rematch as a chance for redemption. From Ellen's point of view, the tables have turned. Benn is entering this fight with more confidence than ever. Going the distance against a naturally bigger opponent gave him something priceless: experience. He now knows the pace Eubank sets, how his shots feel, and where his weaknesses lie. On the other side, Ellen thinks the biggest question for Eubank is still his ability to make weight at 36. It's not just about the number on the scale, it's about how much energy he has left once he rehydrates. With the rehydration limits in place, Eubank's recovery time will be tight. Ellen believes that if the weight cut drains him again, Benn's youth and pace could tilt the later rounds in his favor.
If I had to put my neck on the line, which is what this video is about, at this stage, I'm going to go for a Conor Benn win. And my old man will definitely disagree. My old man will say Eubank is still going to be too big. It's still going to be too good. I just think a combination of Eubank having to make the weight again, because I think he struggles no matter what anyone says. He definitely struggles to make middleweight. The rehydration clause, maybe it's not big as an issue as people say it is. It still is an issue. And that coincided with he's not getting any younger, and that was a really hard fight, along with the fact that that will probably do Conor Benn some good. Bit more experience, he's been there now. He knows he can bother Eubank, he knows he can hurt him. I want to go for a Conor Benn win.
Amir Khan sees it slightly differently. He's expecting a much tighter contest than before, but still gives Eubank a slight advantage. Khan feels Benn held back a little in the first encounter, testing the waters of a heavier division and a bigger opponent. Now that he's been through that experience, Benn is more comfortable, more confident, and ready to be aggressive from the start. Still, Khan points to Eubank's psychological edge. Having already beaten Benn once, Eubank enters the rematch knowing he can do it again. That kind of mental advantage, Khan believes, can be powerful, especially when combined with Eubank's growing confidence and loyal fanbase.
I think Conor will do a little bit more because he knows he had a little bit more left in the tank from the last fight, that he could have done more, but he was just holding back a little bit. So I think it'll be a closer fight than the first one, but I think Eubank will still take that fight. Maybe just take the win, because Eubank will have the confidence that he's beaten once before. He's bigger than him physically. And finally, yeah, I think experience. Yeah, I mean, and because he's the favourite going into fight, people are always going to be. I think one thing about Eubank is that I think he's won a lot of fans over lately. A lot of people give him a hard time. He's a nice guy, man. He's not a bad guy. And I think he's won a lot of fans over, so yeah, respect to him there.
Johnny Nelson isn't completely convinced that Eubank has evolved much since their last fight. He respects Eubank's ability to adapt mid-fight, but he doesn't believe there has been a major upgrade in his game. For Nelson, if Eubank had the power to stop Benn the first time, he would have done it. What really stood out to him was Benn's toughness, his refusal to back down even against a bigger man. That experience in Nelson's eyes made Benn stronger both mentally and physically. Now, with that resilience and a more refined approach, Nelson sees Benn as a different fighter altogether, one capable of adapting, learning, and pushing Eubank into deeper waters than before.
Chris will give himself every possible chance that's going, but in reality, you know, personally, I just think the last performance of Chris, I thought you've got nothing left. There's no more improvement on what I'm seeing there. And I know there was a weight issue and all the build up to it. I thought there's no more improvement there.
Does that
That's what worries
mean?
me.
Does that mean you think there's? Do you think Conor Benn will be better in the second fight?
Yes.
Does that mean that you think that by him being better and there's no more left from Chris Eubank, that Conor Benn's able to bridge the gap, and get an outcome in his second fight?
Without a doubt.
You do.
He couldn't have done any more. If he could have knocked out Conor in that fight, he would have done. He just couldn't get rid of him. And Conor stuck it. So regardless of him being surprised that Conor stuck it out a lot more.
What's clear from all the talk around this fight is that the rematch carries more than just the usual bragging rights. For Ben, it's a chance to rewrite a story that's been haunting him since the first defeat. For Eubank, it's about proving that his victory wasn't a one-off, that his composure, experience, and ring IQ can still keep him one step ahead. Both men have something massive on the line: Ben's redemption and Eubank's validation. As training footage keeps surfacing, Ben's intensity looks undeniable. Sparring with heavyweights like Dubois suggests he's preparing for strength, endurance, and power. Every punch, every drill looks calculated to close the gap between him and the naturally bigger man. Eubank, on the other hand, looks sharp and composed in his recent clips. His workouts are focused on timing, footwork, and precision, the kind of details that separate veterans from up-and-corners. The energy from his camp feels more settled this time, more professional, less chaotic. He's taking care of his body, paying closer attention to nutrition, and surrounding himself with the right people. All of this points toward a fighter who's fully aware that one wrong move could shift the narrative against him. The boxing world loves a rivalry, and this one feels special. A clash of generations, styles, and mentalities. Ben represents youth, aggression, and raw emotion. Eubank embodies discipline, control, and experience, and their first fight gave fans a story packed with drama. The second promises to test who has truly learned from it. And so, as the fight night draws closer, the predictions keep pouring in. Some believe Ben's hunger and improvements will finally pay off, others think Eubank's poise and composure will carry him through again, but one thing's for certain. With both fighters pushing themselves to their absolute limits, and with the fire from that first encounter still burning, this rematch has all the makings of another unforgettable night in British boxing. Conor Benn training side by side with Daniel Dubois might just be the clue to what's coming. The speed, the power, the pressure, it's all there. Whether it's enough to topple Chris Eubank Jr. remains to be seen, but one thing's clear: Ben isn't coming to survive this time, he's coming to finish what he started.